Hey, welcome to Fun Time Travel. Today we're going to talk about some of the mistakes that you make when you cruise for the first time. So we did a little informal survey on Facebook and we got some great responses.
So we're going to be sharing the top 5 mistakes from that survey and actually a couple extra bonus ones at the end.
So let's get into it right after this. Number 5 was not eating in the main dining room. That was the number 5 most common comment that people made when it came to the mistakes.
Sometimes people just didn't want to dress up. There's a bunch of reasons for that. You know, each cruise line has different dress codes for the main dining room.
Right.
And some, like Carnival, can be much more relaxed, but...
Right. If you go on a Holland America ship, they're going to want you to dress much nicer. Maybe you don't like to dress up, maybe you're, whatever, but on whatever cruise ship you're on, whatever cruise line you're on, give the main dining room a try one night, especially do their formal night or their elegant night. The food's so good. They do such a great job with it, and it's kind of a fun night out.
They do like a little show in there.
So yeah, depending on what cruise line you're in, there's different things. The buffet just doesn't measure up to the main dining room. No. Try some of the specialty restaurants, but don't miss the main dining room. And really important, another comment people made was...
to not forget that they serve great breakfast and sea day brunch. Yeah,
the sea day brunch is really, really fun. It's really nice. There's great really breakfast everywhere on the ship, but the sea day brunch is fantastic. Mm-hmm. So try the main dining room. All right, so coming in at number 4 on our list was poor planning.
Which is probably not you if you're watching this video.
right. So what folks said is that they didn't do enough research on their ship, or more importantly on the ports, or really cruising in general. A lot of folks, they just don't plan. They don't realize that some of the excursions get booked up really fast. So if you see one you really like and you're like, man, I just can't miss this one, book it right away. If it turns out you get on board the ship and you're like, oh, I really don't want to do anything in whatever port I'm going to, you can always go to guest services, and I'm sure that they'll give you shipboard credit because, the casino's always calling.
And some people also said that they had actually packed the wrong clothes. So there, just use wisdom. If you're going to the Caribbean, you don't want to just pack jeans and...
Or a snowsuit.
Or snow boots. But, maybe take one pair of jeans or take one pair of slacks or whatever, but not... Yeah, you don't need all of that. So, or either planning wrong for their dining options, not thinking about, there might be an elegant night, or, again, each different cruise line has different, guidelines for their main dining room. So.
Absolutely. Or, remember to take your bathing suit or whatever. Or, here, in fact, speaking of bathing suit, several comments in our survey about people who didn't realize that it would take a long time for their luggage to get to their room on embarkation day. And so they had their bathing suits packed in their luggage, and they were waiting, and about the time they got their luggage, they just had to start getting ready for dinner. So they weren't able to enjoy the pools or whatnot.
So maybe just put that in your carry-on.
Put it in your carry-on, or, hey, just wear it so when you're on the ship, you're like, give me a margarita and a pool.
Coming in at number 3 is overspending. Now, we know that on vacation, like you spend money, you call it monopoly money. Like we always take, but we account for it. You take, but you just don't want to, break the bank while you're on vacation. So one of the things that a lot of people overspend on is the pictures.
And we've never ever done that.
But it's fun because everywhere you go, there's photographers taking pictures of you, coming off the boat, going on the boat, in front of this really cool thing, in front of that really cool thing. And so it's really easy to kind of get caught up in the moment and purchase a little more than you actually need. So this last time...
we forgot to buy pictures this last time.
Thank God we had friends go with us. No, it was okay.
But, we did the pictures. It's fun to take them. You just don't have to buy all the ones you take.
Right.
Another thing that you can overspend on it super quickly is drinks. I have a friend who went on a cruise and came back, and his drink bill was nearly as big as his cruise bill. And he's like, I'm never cruising again. The truth is, there are a ton of great calculators to help you figure out whether or not you should buy the drink package or not. one simple kind of rule of thumb is if you think you're going to do about 6 or 7, it seems like the prices of the drink packages kind of correlated to the prices of the drinks. That's kind of a magic number. You've got to figure it out for yourself, but when we went to do our first cruise, we tried to do the math and we said, we don't know if we're going to hit that number, but even if we overspend on the drink package by $100, the peace of mind of not having that big bill at the end of the cruise was it helped us relax on our vacation. So I don't know if that helps you at all if you're going back and forth on the drink package, but that's just one thought. Another way to avoid overspending is to use the app. Most of the cruise ships, if not all the cruise ships, have an app. And in there you can check your daily spending. You can go in and look at your account balance, see how much onboard credit you have versus how much money you want to spend. And so it's a really simple tool to use, and I so recommend it. I know a lot of people that want to use their cell phones on a cruise. They want to disconnect. But man, it's at least that it's worth it. Sometimes it's on the TV in your room too. So figure it out. But just that's probably the biggest mistake a lot of people make is overspending. So coming in at number 2 is trying to do it all. 1 out of 7 people said that they ran into this problem. So it's pretty common.
Yeah, and a lot of people said that, especially like with excursions, doing one in every port. Yeah. Which we learned the hard way on our first cruise. And by the time we got home, we were like, we need another vacation.
When you're afraid of your alarm on vacation, maybe you're trying to do too much.
I just wanted to sleep in.
Yeah. And, another one is FOMO. Sometimes you get fear of missing out, especially maybe the first cruise or two. You see that list of things and you're like, I want to do this and I want to do that. I want to hit the sail away, which don't miss the sail away. All this stuff, the trivia and the karaoke and the show and the dinner. And by the time you're done, you're like, oh my God, I need a vacation from my vacation, Don't try to do it all.
No.
You're on vacation. And here's the secret. If this is your first cruise you're getting ready for, don't try to do it all on this one, because just start calling this your first cruise. It's not like I'm going on a cruise. Just say, hey, I'm going on my first cruise, because you'll want to do another one, and you can do the things you missed on this one the next time or the time after that.
Coming in at number 1.
Number 1
is overpacking. And I guess probably not surprising, over about 35% of our responses were about this very subject. And we're still guilty of this. We are. I mean, you got to take enough stuff, but you're finding that fine line of what's too much,
Well, on our first cruise, when I strapped our dresser to my back and was walking out of the house, on our first cruise, we took 4 suitcases, a carry-on, I think 2 backpacks, and a pack mule. But
a U-Haul. Okay.
Yeah, when we were backing up, beep, 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 no. It's so easy to do that on your first cruise.
Yeah.
And, you don't really know what you need. And, I think there's kind of a balance here, because there's this like subset of people that almost shame you for packing too much. And then there's another subset of people that can't go anywhere without packing the kitchen sink. Someone said this to me one time. They said, take half the clothes you think you're going to need and take twice the money you think you're going to need. And we found that to be pretty accurate. We don't spend everything we take, but that's probably the best advice. In fact, we were buying new clothes for our cruises and stuff, and we got to realize later, if we hadn't spent the money on clothes, we could have taken that with us on the cruise, and we never would have noticed the difference. So, it's hard. Take what you need, and if you got to take 2 suitcases apiece, take 2 suitcases apiece. But we've started to learn. We're down to 3 suitcases. Mm-hmm. We're hoping to get that down to 2.
Well, it's 2 big ones and 1 medium-sized one, so it's not like it's 3 huge ones.
Right.
So, yeah.
So do what you got to do. But the number 1 comment people made was that they overpacked, and I get it. So, speaking of overpacking, we added 2 bonus items in here that we want to share with you. And the first one is this. You
do not want to let a sunburn ruin your cruise.
Yeah.
By any means. We, on our very first cruise, had a friend that went with us that got very, very sunburned on like day 2, and even like blistered, and affected them for a couple days. So, painful, and then you're in the Caribbean, so you know, every time you go out after that, you're, oh my gosh. Anyway, so very painful.
Yeah.
And also, many people, you know, like me, I'm more olive skinned, and I think, well, I tan easily. But it's different tanning easily here than it is tanning easily.
Yeah, depending on where you live, even if you live in Florida, the farther south you go, the more intense the sun gets. And, you know, another thing you got to remember is the sun's reflecting off the water there too. So it's just, you just burn more easily. So, you know, we just don't forget the sunscreen. So our other bonus item is really, it's about motion sickness treatments. You know, many of the motion sickness pills, they make you drowsy, make you sleepy, whatever. And, you know, you're on a vacation, you're on a cruise, you want to relax, but you don't want to sleepwalk your way through the day. You miss a lot of things, and then you'd be rushing around trying to make up for it. So, you want to watch those.
So just make sure you check for the non-drowsy versions if you're doing Bonine or Dramamine. But for those of you that don't want to do or take the medicated help, you can always do the C-bands, which is like a little bracelet, or they have the patches that go behind your ear, like on your neck. We found that our favorite is the Bonine. We take that at night, every night, even the night before we fly.
Yeah.
And because I could sometimes tend to get a little motion sickness, but it's helped a lot. And neither one of us have never gotten seasick at all. So it at least works for us.
It really helps. And, you know, it's the night before a cruise or the night before you fly out for your cruise or whatever. And a lot of times you're super excited. So,
adrenaline's going.
Yeah. So if you do happen to get the one that makes you drowsy, you just take it the night before you go and you sleep it off. And during the day, you're good to go. So we've all made mistakes on our cruises.
But the more you go, the more you know.
Right. That's so true. And hopefully these tips will help get you ready for your next cruise. And like we said before, if you have a mistake that you made or a mistake that a friend made, maybe you have a friend who made a mistake, put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear about it. Maybe it'll help somebody else with not have that mistake. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.